Excuse me, my lord. How's that excuse me, my lord? He's calmed down with a case of death. Hey, all right. Today's video, we're gonna be talking about death. This video comes from Angelo. It's a channel I actually recently found. I think it's really good. It's a really good, awesome channel. Makes you think. And yeah, I thought it'd be cool to react to this and check this out. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna be snacking on some KFC, and this thing might put me in the grave faster than a bullet will. But who knows? But let's check out this video. It's called Death.
One day, about 18 months after you were born, you
Okay.
looked in a mirror and for the first time in your life, you thought, yo, I think that might be me, bro. And a few years after realizing that you exist, some
Facts.
absolute donut comes along and breaks the news that it's only a temporary arrangement.
Oh
And so
man.
you spend the rest of your life knowing that in an unknown number of seconds, it will be death o'clock, and you will stop existing. There are a few
Facts.
common things people do to deal with the weight of this knowledge. A. Boatloads of narcotics.
Yeah, how do you guys enjoy your suffering? Do you take it with drugs, alcohol, or like some people, you take your suffering dry? I'll take my suffering dry. Thank you very much. No
B.
cigarettes, no alcohol, no narcotics, just plain old suffering.
Become so insufferably annoying that you will live on
Insufferably,
forever in people's
indubitably.
memories. Or C. Devote your life to creating things that will outlast you. And if you
That's
don't have the
me.
nuts to commit to one of these options, you can go for option D,
Bro,
which is
jump.
just nicotine and Netflix. However, no matter what
Hell
you do,
yeah,
terror
Bruce Lee.
management theory says that you do it because of a deep-rooted fear of death. In a whole bunch of studies between 1990 and 2006, terror management theorists found that when made aware of their own
Terror management theorist? I ain't gonna lie, that's a pretty cool ass title.
mortality, people are more likely to buy Gucci flip-flops, show greater
Dang.
support for people with similar worldviews, show
Okay.
harsher judgments towards those who challenge their worldview, believe
Okay.
in gods, avoid using sunscreen or scheduling medical checkups,
Okay.
and support violence towards outgroups.
Oh,
so if
damn.
you find yourself
Bro, they hit him
arguing
in the
with trolls
nuts?
on Twitter after this video, you
That's
know why.
terrible.
But could it be true that the reason we work so many bullshit jobs with bullshit bosses and buy so many bullshit t-shirts and stamp our names on so many half-baked causes is because deep down, somewhere in the depths of our psyches, we're just terrified of dying?
Bro, how many times has this person been used as a meme, bro? How many times have they been used as a meme? That's crazy.
Dying.
Anyways, terrified of dying. Are y'all terrified of dying? Let me know in the
The
comments below.
samurais in feudal Japan lived by a code
Badass.
called Bushido.
Bushido.
It emphasized these principles. Their moral code was so strong that if they broke Bushido, get this,
Simple.
they would dress up in white clothes, write a death poem, and then stab themselves in the stomach before having a friend decapitate them with a katana.
Yep.
They would rather die than be dishonored.
Real
The
shit.
practice was called seppuku, and they did this for hundreds of years. Fast forward to August 29th, 1921, and a guy called Yukio Seki was born. Yukio was a bright student in school, and he had dreams of flying planes for a living. Terror management theory would likely tell you it was because defying gravity gave him a sense of symbolic immortality or something. But whatever the reason, the boy loved planes. And at the age of 17, he achieved his dream, becoming a pilot in the Japanese Navy. Then a year later, the craziest thing happened.
World War
By
II.
1944, Japan was losing ground in the Pacific, and following orders from Vice Admiral Takahiro
I know the
Onishi,
story.
a 23-year-old Yukio led a squadron of explosive-filled A6M Zero planes into battle.
Yep.
And after sighting a US escort carrier ship, Yukio nosedived his plane into it. And not just Yukio, 3,800 kamikaze pilots met a similar fate on purpose, despite knowing that the war was already likely lost.
And to that, all I can say is just 07, like damn, that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But hey, that is life, unfortunately.
Hey, terror management theory, what do you think about that? Or what about the monk who set himself on fire as a form of protest? Or the US Air Force guy who did the same thing in Washington this year? Or the millions of people who have died in medieval battle running headfirst into a literal wall of spears? Or the countless religious fanatics who have sacrificed themselves for a cause they thought was bigger than themselves? What about David Goggins, who ran an ultramarathon with pneumonia and broken legs? What about the willing martyrs? What about Socrates, who allowed the state of Athens to execute him on false charges of corrupting the youth when he could have just moved to a different city.
Yeah, the thing is, when it came to Socrates, especially, he was going to die because he believed in his cause so much. And he said, man, I'd rather die than submit or change my philosophy or change my mind. Like, bro, no, you couldn't convince me of nothing. And then he just said, man, frick it. That's it. And then he became a martyr. And then, Plato and all these other philosophers created their philosophies. And that is humanity. Like at the end of the day, bro, like all this shit is just humanity. Humanity, humans doing some crazy human shit because humans do some crazy human. Like I'm telling you, bro, there's most likely aliens watching all of this and like using us to study. Like the little sea monkeys, bro. That's us, bro. We're sea monkeys, bro. That walk.
Charges of corrupting the youth when he could have just moved to a different city.
Real shit.
Socrates, the same guy who purposefully married the most annoying woman he could find in order to
He did that?
challenge himself.
Really?
If
No
self-preservation was
way. That's got to be cap. I mean, like how many generations has it? It's been like maybe 100 generations since he really did that. I'm pretty sure the message got lost in translation, or maybe it didn't. Let me know in the comments below.
Primary human motivator. Would any of these things have actually happened? No, we don't want to merely preserve ourselves. Fundamentally, we want to thrive, to become powerful and free. And most of the time, death just gets in the way of that, so of course we avoid it. Unless you're a martyr, in which case it actually helps your cause, and so you willingly choose it. According to Nietzsche, a strong will to self-preservation was actually a sign of the distress and weakness of an organism. So what about all those terror management theory studies? It seems that no matter which way you spin it, the knowledge of our death is a corrosive on our souls. But is the fear of death even rational? Yes, it's purely rational, and that's why it's nonsense. Hear me out. Animals are not rational, and yet it's bonkers to suggest that animals are afraid of death. They're afraid of stuff that kills them, sure, but they're not afraid of death, for without the ability to conceptualize, the concept of death never occurs to them. A deer is not aware of its own mortality, it just knows that when a lion runs after it,
it's a bad idea.
Its day is about to get significantly worse.
Absolutely.
So it runs away. All the diplomatic deers already died off, but humans are different. We are uniquely aware of our own existence. We have friends and family members who die, and from our perspective, they don't exist anymore, and so we say, yes, GGs. At some point I too will be non-existent.
Yes.
But what we miss is that it's impossible to be non-existent, since to be is a statement of existence. At the very moment that the light of your consciousness ceases to shine, there will no longer be anyone there for death to happen to. You cannot be dead, that's an oxymoron. You can only ever be alive. Your own death is quite literally not your problem.
That's
People
crazy.
who live in fear of their own death go their whole lives afraid of something that never happens to them.
And
Your
that
death
part
is outside your jurisdiction. The only thing that's your problem is your life and what you do in it.
Yes!
But, Angelo, if my death isn't my problem, why don't I just down 8 pints of Stella and break 100 miles per hour on the back roads?
I mean, sure, you could do that, but you probably shouldn't.
This is why we have suffering, so that we don't sabotage our ability to thrive by doing something stupid like dying. And as Einstein said, dying is like super counterproductive, bro. Suffering allows us to avoid
Einstein
death without having to do a cost-benefit analysis of every single action that we take. Instead, when we stand on our brother's fucking Legos again, a neat little instinct called pain tells us that that was not a beneficial event. So we remove our foot from the little death cube. Suffering and pleasure make it possible for animals to survive so that they can continue thriving without even knowing what survive actually means.
They just live.
Then you have humans, built on the same wet tech stack as animals, except with this one extra module that means we now know that we die. And yet we still experience suffering and pleasure, just the same as our ancestors. And the combination of these two pieces of knowledge, that we suffer and that we also die, has led us to the conclusion that suffering is meaningless. We know we aren't suffering for eternal redemption or heaven, and as Nas put it,
life's a bitch and then you die, that's why we get high.
Real shit.
Suffering indicates to an organism that current events are hindering their ability to thrive, and pleasure indicates the opposite. Therefore, if we suffered, but we were not aware of death and therefore could not directly avoid it, this would make sense. Alternatively, if we were aware of death and therefore could directly avoid it, but did not ever need to suffer, this would also make sense. The human condition is that we are aware of death. We directly avoid it, and yet we suffer as well. This does not make sense. Or at least we
Bro, that's why I always laugh at this shit, bro. Like, yes, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It absolutely does not make sense. But in the fact that it does not make sense, that is what makes it special. You see how it doesn't make sense? Like, it doesn't make sense, but that is what makes it special. And that's why you should just enjoy the moment. Absolutely just enjoy whatever it is that makes you who you are. And if you can't figure that out, I mean, it's okay, bro. There's been literally billions of other people that could not figure it out what it is to be them, be themselves, or be who they are. But to just be in itself is amazing, right? It's like what to be alive in itself is like a trillion to one. And I don't know the exact numbers by heart. Correct me in the comment section, but just to be alive in itself, like you're more likely to win the lottery 10 times in your lifetime than to be alive. Like, bro, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And the fact that it ends is just part of it. Like, hey, bro, at least you got to be alive. At least you got to exist. At least you got to be part of it. And that's what makes it special. W, leave a like if you enjoyed.
can't make sense of it, as evidenced by the fact that suffering and mortality take center stage in every major religion. You could even see much of the religion and philosophy of history as attempts to address the coexistence of suffering and death. We had some religions in the West that say, we'll happily suffer because we will not die. Then some religions in the East said, we'll happily die because we will not suffer. Then those who unalive themselves say, I just simply refuse to suffer and die, so I will just die and then I will not suffer.
That part.
So how do we reconcile the two?
That's crazy.
Religions tend to either reject
But it makes
death
sense.
and accept suffering, or reject suffering and accept death. I tend to prefer those that reject death, because I don't believe your death is your problem anyway. However, the fact that your suffering is your problem is not up for debate at all.
Bro, I'm like Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle, bro.
Believe your death
Bro,
is your
just
problem
accept
anyway.
that shit, bro.
However, the fact that your suffering is your problem
Yeah, I
is
love
not up
Malcolm in the Middle. Like, here we go again.
for debate at all. So good luck rejecting it.
Bro, the
And
show's
as Naval
amazing.
said, it's easier to achieve your material desires than to renounce them.
That's deep.
I think the reason
Psychological.
humans have struggled to justify the coexistence
Let
of
me hear
suffering
this.
and death for so long is because we haven't fully digested the knowledge of our mortality. We know that it will happen, but we can't imagine it. We imagine being aware of eternal nothingness or picture a black screen forever, but we're still imagining consciousness.
Exactly,
We
you won't be
conceptualize
there
death
for
as
it.
a sort of state that we can be in,
It's not.
even though we will not be at all.
Exactly.
But we simply can't picture that. As a result,
Exactly.
we see our death as a bad thing, something confusing and scary, and we avoid thinking about it at all costs. We might logically know it will happen, but we emotionally reject it. Even thinking about it makes us feel uneasy, as evidenced by those TMT studies. But if you really give death your full attention and don't shy away from it, you realize that your mortality is a state that you are currently in,
Literally,
not some
the
distant,
present.
scary event that might happen in the future. Just like the deer, evolution has programmed us to be so afraid of the stuff that kills us. Social exclusion, hunger, violence. So ask
Now
yourself,
that's the one you
if
gotta
you
worry about.
really accepted
Like,
your death.
Hunger, definitely depending on where you live and where you were born, but the violence part, that is the one you gotta really like. The social exclusion, bro, you will be all right. It is okay to be excluded because there are so many people that are excluded. You can build a community of being excluded. And if you're excluded from that one, guess what? You can find another community of being excluded. It's just you want to be part of a specific community. And if you're excluded from that, that is the issue or the fear. And that's just my interpretation, by the way. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Like literally, like I'm just here doing the song and dance. Like your comments are also important. So leave a comment, let me know what you think.
And embodied your mortality without an ounce of emotional resistance, would you live differently? If you saw life itself as a suicide mission and were okay with that, what risks would you take? Would you
Oh,
really
that's
be
sick.
afraid to talk to that
That
cute
was
girl
sick.
at the bar, or ask for a raise, or start that new business opportunity?
Do it.
Would you really see life as pointless?
No.
Or would the stuff of life become the point of life? And what about suffering? Would you run away from it or accept it as the price of admission? Would you
That
fear
is the
it,
price of
or would you
admission, bro.
revel in it as a reminder that you're still alive? It's worth asking yourself this because it happens to be true. Life is a suicide mission. It's already gonna kill you. And until you accept that without flinching, you will resort to self-preservation.
Yes.
You'll be timid, afraid, risk-averse.
You will
You'll
never
sit on the
try
fence and
anything,
sacrifice
bro.
what could have been.
You will
had
never
lived
try.
with the urgency that mortality demands. The conveyor belt of time is steadily moving you toward death, and one day soon you'll be 70 and you'll see it on the horizon. That's the moment that it will feel real, and that's the moment it will be too late to do anything about it.
Exactly.
Until you know that you will never experience your own death, you will never fully digest your mortality. And until you digest your mortality, you will never fully live. There's a famous quote that says, "Don't take life so seriously. You'll never make it out alive." But I see it differently.
Bro, that's real.
I say take life seriously. I say engage.
Yes.
Because you will never make it out at all.
Ooh, that was deep. And absolutely, yeah, like that. And that is what I believe embodies the adventurer spirit, right? To know that, hey, at the end of the day, bro, it'll all eventually end, eventually, right? So from now until then, bro, that's when you got to go live it up. And that's why your boy is going to be in Nepal. And I found out it's going to be a 14-day trek to go up Everest. I didn't know it was 14 days. I thought maybe it'd be 2, maybe 3. I don't know. 14 days. So 14 days in the wilderness. That sounds awesome. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to be making videos like this while doing that. But that is what it is, what it is, what it is. You know what I'm saying? So thank you guys for enjoying. And while I'm gone, hey, there's a whole bunch of other brain rot on the internet for you to enjoy. And yeah, I'll go learn a bunch of cool stuff if I come back. You never know what could happen. You could slip, fall, crack your neck tomorrow. Like you never know, right? That is the point of existence. You never know, so you just live it up until then. But yeah, definitely go out, try and do something. Why not? Like, are you scared to fail? Okay, well, failure is part of success. Like success, like in itself, is just continuing to go. Like, yeah, you might have a mistake here or there, and the mistake might cost you millions. Like, how many times have people they got the wrong person pregnant, and then next thing you know, bro, they're paying alimony and all that shit, child support, all that shit, right? A mistake, right? Even though they don't regret the child that they made, some of them do regret that shit. But legitimately, hey, it is what it is, bro. Like it's a mistake. Okay, boom. You know now, even though you shouldn't have to learn it that way, right? But you learn and you grow, and that is what it is to live. So just keep living and just keep going, keep doing whatever it is that you deem will fulfill you. Because at the end of the day, bro, you can only please yourself. And that's why I'm going out to live my life. I love my YouTube channel. Absolutely. I love seeing, this stuff like in these videos. And that's why they're in videos. So I can always just go back and look at it. It just is what it is, bro. It's entertainment, but at the same time, bro, it's just life. So go live that shit and enjoy. And until next time, it's your boy KhunShawn, man. Yeah, there's a link in the description. Check out Angelo. Bro, hit the like button as well. Like I legitimately watch this show on my TV. Like this is one of the better channels that I've seen on the internet. 35K subs, bro. I can't wait to see it hit 100K. Anyways, until next time, I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Peace.